name is Helen Partlow. I live in New York. I am admitted in New York and in Massachusetts. And I work a lot on NIWs and their RFEs and the responses. So he asked me to make a presentation for you. So USCIS comes back with an evaluation of sorts. So they're going to say certain parts might have been acceptable. Some parts need more evidence. Maybe the entire thing needs more evidence. It all depends on what they say with your particular case. So an RFE, like I said, stands for Request for Evidence, which is the request issued by USCIS when they need additional evidence to make a decision on an immigration application. So this is an actual RFE here, obviously redacted for client privacy. It's usually several pages long, and they have it dated with a specific return date. So there are different things that they say in the RFE that you have to pay close attention to. First thing is the response due date. So this is a timely request done by them, and they need to have a response back by a certain date. In this particular example, it shows December 2nd, which obviously has passed, and this client already was taken care of. So they usually give you a certain amount of time frame to respond. Again, they tell you, obviously they reference the law. They tell you what arguments have been accepted, so you don't have to argue them again. You did that initially in the petition and they're accepted. They also tell you what arguments were not accepted, and they give you a more detailed response as to different types of exhibits that you might have given as evidence. They'll tell you, they gave us this type of evidence and we find it to be, why they did not accept it or why did they not find it acceptable. They also give you examples of evidence of what they are looking for. So not only do they tell you what evidence you have, why it didn't meet their standards, but they also tell you what they are looking for. So just in case anything new might have happened, maybe there's been a new publication, a new patent, anything new that's happened, maybe for whatever reason the original petition left something out. You have a list of things that we're going to be looking for in order to give them on our response to this RFE. And again, they also just explain how they got to their conclusion. So they're going to give you a lot of details. And like I said, it is several pages long, so you want to make sure that you are reading every little bit that is in there, just to make sure that you aren't missing something. So in the original petition for NIW, there are 5 main topics that we talk about in this petition. And these are the main 5 topics that USCIS either tells us is acceptable or is not acceptable. So the first portion of the original petition we talk about is the classification. So this shows that the client has an advanced degree or is a person of exceptional ability. And there are several factors that we discuss on whether or not we can conclude that they are a person of exceptional ability. So here USCIS might reject it because, there wasn't, maybe there was no diploma attached, or there was no transcript, or maybe this person happened to get a degree outside of the United States and they need to show that it's equal to a degree in the United States. So those are a few reasons why classification might be rejected. The next part is substantial merit. So when we do this NIW, we talk about the client's proposed endeavor, and that's what they want to do in the United States if their petition is granted. And for substantial merit, we have to show USCIS that the industry of the client is important and worthy, that it has substantial merit, that we discuss what types of things are going on in the industry, and USCIS comes to a conclusion whether or not they think it is important. With national importance, this is where we show how the United States has already made steps with a national initiatives or maybe pieces of legislation to show that the United States, their goals are aligned with the client's goals with their proposed endeavor. We have to also submit, exhibits and evidence as proof from a trusted source stating that this is the case. We have to back up our words here and make sure that we're not just saying them, but we have evidence to back it up also. The next section is the well-positioned to advance their proposed endeavor, which just means that the client has made progress in this field and that they will continue to make progress in the future if their petition is granted. This can be shown by a variety of different things. Obviously, you talk about the client's education, experience, either on the job or as a researcher, maybe different projects done while in college. We can discuss, publications, if they were cited to, patents, grants, certificates of appreciation or certificates of like continued education, awards. This is where you're showing by evidence that the client has already made significant progress and that they are likely to continue with this progress in the future. Then the last argument that they can reject is an on balance argument. So this is like I said, we call it on balance. It's a balancing argument. So you're trying to say that this person coming in to the United States is not going to harm our labor market here. It's not going to harm any employees that are already here in the United States. So it's really kind of a balancing test, and it is a little bit more subjective, but we still need to provide evidence of things going on in that industry to show that this person coming in and getting a position is not going to harm anyone already in here. That this person is so uniquely qualified and that it's urgent to come in on this type of a proposed endeavor. So I keep saying proposed endeavor. So the proposed endeavor is really what the entire NIW and RFE rely upon. It's the basis, it's the foundation, it's very important. A proposed endeavor is basically a statement from the client stating what you want to do in America. So you don't have to actually succeed in the proposed endeavor. You just have to show that you are likely that you could succeed. So you can aim high, you can have big goals, you can, reach for the sky. And so in making these goals, you have to then also say how you plan on achieving these goals. What steps do you take? Do you have a 5-year plan? Do you have a business model? Do you have any sort of customers or employers that would be interested? So this proposed endeavor, like I said, is a statement by the client, and it is attached as evidence as an exhibit to the petition or the RFE if it wasn't in the original petition. And this is something that is required. So your petition might be rejected because you did not set a proposed endeavor in the petition, of which you can then add it into your RFE response. But once you make your proposed endeavor in the original petition, you cannot change your plan. So you can expand upon it and explain it if you did not give as many details originally. And by explaining it and giving more details, that will definitely help in your response. But you can't just say, if your proposed endeavor initially was, I want to land on the moon, and I don't know, I'm just throwing something crazy out there. And then you want to come back and say, oh no, I want to cure cancer. Like, they're just very unrelated. And you can't just shift your goals without pretty much doing a whole new petition to show why you can then do this instead. So the proposed endeavor, like I said, it's very much the foundation. And to be more clear and simple and comprehensive as possible when you are making this proposed endeavor, so that it's also simple but detailed. So it's a little bit of a combination. So obtaining more evidence. So when you get an RFE, you are requested, it's request for evidence. So you're going to be needing to give more evidence in order to get your petition granted. So this can come as letters of recommendation. We might ask you to go and find someone new, or have someone maybe expand upon their letter of recommendation, something that shows that you have made progress and that you will continue to make progress. On our end, we have to research for proof of substantial merit or national importance. And this comes from outside sources, reliable outside sources, that we have to show that the United States has made these initiatives that are related to your proposed endeavor. And then also evidence for the client is well positioned to advance the proposed endeavor. Like I already said, it could be awards, certificates, new publications, citations, those kinds of things. So if these are the things that are rejected, these are the types of things that we are looking for when we are gathering more evidence to respond. So one of the main arguments that I find that's the most often rejected is the argument that the client is well positioned to advance their proposed endeavor. So this has to be detailed. There are several different angles that we want to make sure that we include in our response, such as you've made significant contributions in your field. Again, we're talking about education, we're talking about evidence on the awards, all these different things. Maybe you were presenting at a conference, maybe you have reviewed publications. So that's one argument that we have to then show for this. Another one is that other entities are interested in your proposed endeavor. So here we're talking about why the United States is interested in this, why there might be customers or other businesses or organizations that would want your expertise in order for you to fulfill this proposed endeavor. We are showing your journal publications if you have them. We are going to talk about the journals they were published in, what their impact factors are, what that journal is about, and why it's prestigious for you to have published in this journal. And we're going to also discuss about your plan for the future. So you have to make sure that you have a well thought out idea as to what you want to do when you are here. You have to make sure that you can state what your goals are and how you're going to get there. So talking about a timeline. So once you get an RFE, they usually give you the maximum response time of 12 weeks or 84 days to respond. And that's going to be the due date that's written on your RFE very prominently on the front page in bold. If you respond with your RFE by mail, they'll grant you an additional 3 days as wiggle room for the mail system, and it'll still be considered timely. If your RFE is mailed from outside of the United States, they're going to give you an additional 14 days to accommodate international mailing, which would then be a total of 98 days. Once USCIS receives it, it's really kind of a ballpark idea as to how long it takes them to respond. I've found that maybe on average it's 60 days, but it really could take even longer than that if there's a lot of backup, a lot of people, sending things in and things are getting backed up. So it would take at least 60 days and sometimes even much longer than that to get a response. So that pretty much sums up what I wanted to discuss today on RFE. This is all of our firm's contact information on how you can get in touch with us.